Hello and welcome to today's live webinar. My name is Brett Berger, and I work on the NI brand of data acquisition products here at Emerson Test and Measurement. And we are coming to you live from our studio here in Austin, Texas. But I'm not alone. I have here with me Aaron Kaplan from Testforce. Hey, Aaron.
Hey, Brett. Hi. I'm Aaron Kaplan. I'm a regional sales manager with Testforce, and I'm super excited to be here for our takeover of NI Studios, talking about DAQ with Brett Berger, and being here with NI and Emerson, who we've been a proud partner with for almost 5 years right now.
Yeah, well, I'm real excited when you came last week and dropped off a bunch of hardware for us to play with here, and I'm looking forward to the next, 45 minutes to an hour that we'll get to spend actually working with the hardware. We've got some sensors, and then we've got a live audience. So I've said that a couple of times. I really want to drive home that this is live and you can ask questions. If you don't ask questions, we might as well just be recording this and throwing it on YouTube, right?
Might as well just be like yesterday's rehearsal.
Exactly. Doing it for the likes. In studio with us to help answer those questions, we have Laura. Hi, Laura.
Hi, Laura.
So we have Laura. We also have Renee and Kevin. And you can ask questions and they can answer them in chat, but they will also interrupt us every once in a while, sometimes gracefully, sometimes abruptly, and we'll stop and we'll answer those questions. Quick housekeeping on that. There is a question tool in Zoom. So if you want to ask a question, use that tool, because then it will come in like an email and it'll sit there and we've got a queue and we can go through and answer that. There's also chat. Chat is great for reactions, or if you want to say hello from wherever you are in the world. That is great for chat. But if you ask a question in chat, sometimes it just like scrolls on by and we miss it. So please ask questions and use the Q&A button to do so.
Yep. And the other bookkeeping issue is, because this is live and we're interested in learning more about our audience so that we can, adjust appropriately and cover content that you're interested, you're going to see 2 survey questions that are going to pop up so that we have the opportunity to learn a bit more about you, what brings you here today. And yeah,
exactly. Actually, that's a great, let's go ahead and push the first poll. To understand more about you, we're going to talk about software. So what software do you use when you do data acquisition and test and measurement? We've got options for LabVIEW, so please also indicate how you would kind of grade yourself as a LabVIEW programmer, beginner, intermediate, or advanced. But then also if you're using Python or C or any other programming language, let us know, and we can customize a little bit as we go.
And the second question?
Well, the second question, we'll talk about applications. But
okay.
In a couple minutes here, Laura can interrupt us and let us know how that poll goes. But actually, while we're waiting on that poll to cook a little bit, part of the reason why we're here is we wanted to provide an overview of the DAQ family. And so we've got we've got all hardware families represented in this room. So I'm going to walk over here to our shelf where we've got the showcase of DAQ hardware. When we talk about DAQ, it is voltage. So think 10-volt measurements. It's digital. It's voltage output, and not like a scope. Like a scope triggers, and so you're getting really high-speed waveforms that trigger on a zero cross or something like that. Data acquisition, you're taking that voltage measurement or a sensor like an accelerometer or a thermocouple, and you're putting it in a computer at any rate. Could be 1 sample per second or 2 million samples per second. And once that is established, NI's catalog has 500 something part numbers. And so do you want to measure with our most rugged device, FieldDAQ, that just came out a couple months ago? It's waterproof, it's shock-proof, 100 G's of shock. You plug in the highly durable M12 connectors, and you can literally submerge this thing in like a meter of water. So that's FieldDAQ. There's CompactDAQ, which is our most versatile platform. This is a USB chassis, but there's also Ethernet. It's modular, so you have over 70 different modules to pick from, and you customize your system by picking the measurement to the module and kind of mixing and matching. So if you need 8 accelerometers and 32 voltage and some digital, you just click in the modules and there you go. And then for the high performance, we've got PXI. So any sensor measurement or voltage measurement or digital activity you want to do, PXI is going to give you the most data throughput because it connects it right to that computer. And then last but not least, we have the multifunction devices. This is the smallest and entry level of the multifunction devices. It's a little like 6008. So I can get, 8 channels of voltage and a few channels of digital and a couple of outputs. In the same family is mioDAQ, which is a USB connected device. That's actually what we're going to pull into our test system in a second here. And then multifunction DAQ boards for both PXI and your computer. So like a desktop PC like you get from Dell or HP, you can install a DAQ board in, and that's actually our most cost-effective way to do a DAQ measurement.
That's great. Thanks for that overview, Brett.
Yeah, and speaking of our multifunction DAQ devices, we've actually got a new product announcement today. So for the first time, we're talking about it publicly. It just released a couple weeks ago. We have 10 new additions to our popular multifunction DAQ device line. So there are some for PC or for a computer, so you install in the motherboard, and there are some for PXI. In fact, the PXI ones, we've added new lower cost entry-level points. So we've pushing the bar down actually on cost, but keeping the quality.
Yeah, and this is a new announcement today. So Brett, thanks for bringing that live to our audience today as breaking news.
Yeah.
But the brilliant part about the new X series data acquisition modules that are getting released is that they are expanding on the lower end of the performance, which basically means that if you're interested in the PXI platform or you're interested in multifunction DAQ in a computer, you now have more options at the lower cost end for analog, digital, all manner of mixed I/O test and measurement applications.
Yep. And I think Laura has the URL, the link to Testforce's product page for the new DAQ board. So if you're interested in checking out prices, I think the URL is actually going to the new lowest cost PXI DAQ device that we've got now. So,
well, we already have one question from the audience.
Got a question? Maybe the poll results?
Let's do the poll results.
Yeah.
It's pretty even division, but 28% are intermediate LabVIEW users.
Okay, so kind of spread out across the board. How many non-LabVIEW users?
22%
Oh, great.
are Python or other.
Oh, wow. We do have a nice even distribution. I'd probably put myself in that intermediate LabVIEW programmer.
Oh, you're selling yourself short, Brett.
I don't know. I thought it would be good. Maybe sometime in the future we can do a code review and we can actually get like a LabVIEW champion.
No, it's a good idea. It's a good idea to set the bar low, for what we're doing on the demo later. So we'll know that even an intermediate user will be able to accomplish the demo that was in store for today.
I assure you, doing a test system in 20 minutes, it's probably going to look more on the basic side than on the advanced side. But actually, maybe we'll push the second poll now, and then we can introduce our test apparatus today. Okay, so Laura, if you can push that second poll. In this one, we want to understand what kind of applications are you working on? Are you more in the manufacturing sector? Are you doing electrical or physical validation, like mechanical tests, sensors, and stuff like that? Or are you doing research, whether it's commercial or academic? So please press that poll, and so we can learn more about you, our live audience.
You set up the demo?
Well,
I'm sorry.
Laura, any questions come in so far? No questions so far. Okay. It is live, so you are free to ask questions, and we will do our best to answer them. Okay, so with that, Aaron, I know a month ago we started talking about what might be a good typical example for what the engineers that we work with are dealing with. And so you had this great idea. You want to introduce the concept?
Yeah, so the concept for the demo today is just to see if Brett here can build a working demo that mirrors a live application that we've encountered in 20 minutes or so. And one of the ways that we work with our customers is to try to get involved as early as possible in the design process of their product or their test and measurement plan, so that we can try to source the best hardware or software. If you need to get a partner involved, just really how to help our customers get from where they are today to their finish line as quickly as possible. That's where we feel like Testforce and our partners and Emerson, bring the greatest value. So this particular application, a customer came to us. They had a series of electronic valves that was their bread and butter. They've been making for a long time, and they wanted to make them smart valves. So they wanted to build a reference board that was going to have a cellular connection on it, a GPS receiver, and what other I/O was on it? Well, it had two power sources for high and low power, so it needed to measure. We needed source power and also measure power very accurately on this device.
Yep.
We needed two serial I/O connections that were UART, and also we needed a couple of other general data acquisition voltage and current measurements on that board. So a whole suite of measurements that were, that would have required, if we were just looking at traditional benchtop instruments, a stack of instruments from a number of different manufacturers to do them all. And we wound up on a solution that was a mix of PXI platform from NI, as well as some benchtop instruments that a lot of people are familiar with from the likes of Tektronix and Rode. So the inspiration for today is to build a demo that has similar amount of mixed I/O, that is a mix of Emerson hardware as well as some traditional benchtop instruments, and see if we can get it running as quickly as possible.
Absolutely, and you know, a lot of what you said absolutely resonated with what I see, especially testing these kind of intelligent boards. Where I'm going to use an Arduino as a stand-in for our demo today, but also the increasing complexity as everything gets connected, whether it's to other systems on a larger structure or the Internet of Things. So, you know, even simple smoke detectors are now becoming smart, intelligent devices. And so that it's.
I'll try not to imagine one of those failing.
Yeah. Well, this is why test is important, right?
Absolutely.
And why quality test is important. So, right about to dive in, but I see the question light just came on. So, is this the poll?
Yeah, let's do our poll, and we also have a question.
Nice.
So results looks like 35% are in R&D in the design area.
Okay.
Yeah.
Great.
And then we have a question from Michael. He says, is there any DAQ device that can let me output a signal, maybe maximum 10 volt-ish? I need to send a signal to either a piece of equipment or a signal to a controller and then start to collect data.
Yeah, absolutely. Thanks for the question, Michael. And the answer is yes. I would start with our multifunction DAQ line, and that will scale from like that small pocket-sized USB DAQ device that I held up just a second ago to the mioDAQ that we have here on the table that we're about to use in this test system. Or if you want to plug it into a computer, you can do that as well. But you can absolutely it's a plus or minus 10 volt output. The speed varies by the device, but it can go from static, so just like software timed, all the way up to a couple megahertz of output. And it's programmable with LabVIEW, Python, or C, or you can use our FlexLogger, no programming tool to do that. So yeah, thanks for the question. Absolutely. And if you have just general DAQ catalog questions, those are also absolutely fair game to jump in here. So all right, I got to log back in. It's like my computer saying, "All right, guys, get to the demo." Okay, so this is the DUT. So we don't have as fancy of a DUT as what I've seen some of our customers do, but I've taken an Arduino and we've got some code running on it that is going to you input a signal like a sine wave or a square wave. There's a zero crossing algorithm running on the Arduino, and it's got some simple like debouncing and some averaging to clean it up a little bit. But it's going to measure that frequency and then output a voltage. So the Arduino that I bought is the DAQ, and it's got two DAQs on it that will output 0 to 3.3 volts. So we are going to use our test equipment here to test the Arduino. And so this is the one I've already got it connected. The one I was holding was just a prop. And we've got a tech function generator to generate the signal that we're going to stimulate the Arduino with. We got a power supply, so we can both power it, but also we can power it at different voltage levels, so we can test the performance of our algorithm based on how much voltage we're supplying to it.
Sure.
And then we've got mioDAQ here, which is the new, like, wildly popular DAQ device from NI that we released last September. And this is kind of I know we've talked about this, Aaron, but this is kind of like the Swiss Army knife of like data acquisition. It's great to have on your benchtop. It does high-speed voltage input, high-speed voltage output, handful of digital lines, and counter timers. So you can do pulse waves, PWM, frequency generation, all that stuff. We're drastically underutilizing it right now, but it's a great tool to have.
We won't talk about the fact that we could probably use the mioDAQ to do this entire test setup if we needed to in this moment as well.
Depending on
how much power was consumed by the device for the power supply.
Exactly. So, but everything's a tool, and you want to find the right tool for the right job.
Absolutely.
And sometimes the right tool is what you've already got, right?
Yeah.
Okay. So yeah. So generating the waveform, powering the Arduino, and then LabVIEW and mioDAQ are going to measure one of these wires is the output from the DAQ on the Arduino, and it's going to go into input 0 here on this mioDAQ, and then the other wire is just a ground.
So we'll break us that software up and running. I'll just quick plug. If anybody's interested in what you see today, hardware or software, feel free to reach out to local contact at Testforce or your friends at Emerson. We all have demo pools available of all these instruments, and we're happy to show up to demo anything that, yeah, make sure that like the hardware that we're selecting is right for what you guys need, and give it a shot.
Yeah, absolutely. And on that note, all of the NI software that we're using today has free evaluation capability. So you could get a hardware loaner from Testforce, DAQ or other stuff, and then you could get essentially a
just
software
download
version.
LabVIEW or FlexLogger or whichever one you wanted to try, and be up and running in a few minutes.
Yeah, you could put this together, $80 Arduino and get going. Okay, so I'm gonna start in LabVIEW. And let's not start the timer yet. I know we talked about like 20 minutes, but I'm going to do a little preparation first,
Sure.
and education. And where I want to start is getting the instrument drivers for these instruments. This is actually how LabVIEW got its start. Like almost 40 years ago, is automating and controlling instruments.
Yeah,
now we've got
one of my favorite or most often questions that I get from all customers of all walks and all applications, which is, they purchase an instrument, and even if it's one they already have, and the question's always asked, are there LabVIEW drivers for it? And the answer almost universally is yes.
Almost universally is yes. And even if there aren't, LabVIEW can still talk to it if you've got like the Skippy commands or a Visa manual.
Yep.
I'm gonna use, so AI is everywhere. I used it to program the Arduino, but I want to make sure that everyone knows that if you're a LabVIEW user, if you're one of those LabVIEW users on the call, we just introduced Nigel, LabVIEW's AI advisor. And it doesn't code yet. That is as on the roadmap that, by the way, is public facing, that we're sharing the roadmap for LabVIEW. But I have found that Nigel is great at helping set up hardware and answering hardware questions, because it's consumed all of our resources. And so I just want to give some demos. And actually, I used it to set up one of these instruments, and in less than 15 minutes, I was up and running. So I'm going to ask Nigel. I have a tech function generator. What model is this?
AFG 3100.
Model AFG 3100 can, help me get the driver for LabVIEW installed. And give Nigel a few seconds. And I mean, I've done this exact prompt before, and I've tested this, so I have high confidence that it's going to be good. But in all of my tests for hardware, it's been really good. And one of the things that I like about what Nigel does, because Nigel was made for test, it's AI designed for test and measurement, is it will aggregate all the different resources out there and give me a customized, step-by-step instruction manual. So look right here, it's like step 1, connect the device to your computer. Step 2, install NI Visa if you don't already have it installed. And then step 3, hey, use LabVIEW to talk to it. But then down here, it gives me a link to the support page, the instrument driver, and so forth. And I've walked through this, and if I got stuck, I just say, hey, I'm stuck on this one, this one step. And so it was actually really helpful. So let's see here. Just open it up real quick. Oops.
So use Nigel exactly the way that I'm using ChatGPT these days, but this time specifically for LabVIEW. And I'm struggling. Help me get started.
Exactly. It's also helped to connect signals. So I could say like, hey, I want to connect this quadratron coder to my mioDAQ. Where do I put A, B, and Z?
Yeah, that was actually a really interesting comment that you made to me yesterday, which is that you were using Nigel actually also helped bring up wiring diagrams for the device under test connecting to the mioDAQ device.
Yep.
And that's a question I get all the time, and I am not an electrical engineer by trade. So I have not spent a significant amount of my time like actually connecting the GAZ in and the GAZ out of various devices. So just the fact that Nigel helped pull up those wiring diagrams and kind of provides a sanity check that you are doing this right, you're making the right connections, goes a long way.
I am used to it, and I still find it easier if Nigel will just give me the link so I don't have to go surf for it, because I forget sometimes. Okay, so this is an example program that ships with or it's included with the tech function generator LabVIEW driver. So I didn't program this. I just copied it to my machine and opened it up. I do need to point it to the right resource. And so here's the, because I plugged it in, it enumerated. I'm like, okay, that's the function generator. So I can select that from the pull down. And then now I can set, like if I want to set 100 Hertz, and then I'll do a square wave and click run.
I heard a click.
I heard it click. I can't see the screen, but I'm guessing that there is a square wave right here, and I'm going to change it. So I'm going to make it a sine wave, just so we can make things move, because we are on camera. So I'm going to run this again. Hear the clicks, and I bet it's a sine wave. Okay, so that's one component of our test setup, and so I'm going to put that over to the side. Another one is the power supply. And I did the exact same thing. I said, hey, hey Nigel, I've got this power supply model, NGP 800 series. Help me find the instrument driver.
So you didn't build these GUIs? These are what came with the drivers?
They came with the drivers.
Okay.
Yeah. And that's probably why they look a little different, because they might have been made at different times, different versions of LabVIEW, and different companies.
Different manufacturers.
Different manufacturers. But I will point out that as I downloaded these, they were both like NI certified. So as part of the instrument driver network, you can submit your driver to NI, and NI will screen it to make sure you followed decent practices.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, they're going to look a little different. Okay, so on this one, I mean, same thing. I'm just going to see here. The Arduino accepts between 5 and 12 volts, and I've heard 2 amps is good, and in my experience, 2 amps has been good. I don't need the second channel. We're not going to do that, so I'll go ahead and turn that off. And then same thing, I've got a little pull down here. So I'm going to select my instrument and click run. Hearing some beeps. And I can visually see on the Arduino, I put a little LED heartbeat. So I don't think you can see it from where you are.
That's all right, I trust you.
It's tucked in there, but I wanted something to visually tell me that the code was running. So I put a little heartbeat. And I say I told ChatGPT. It's like, hey, can you put a heartbeat? So little LED blinking 4 times. So that's all looking good. Hearing the beeps, hearing the clicks, I can now fully control the tech scope, or sorry, the tech function generator and the Rode power supply.
That's cool. We downloaded some drivers. We showed that we can connect to these devices. We can control them. We've shown the nice GUIs that often come with NI certified drivers that are available through NI's website.
Yep.
Emerson's website. I keep getting that wrong today.
NI.com. I got all the logos on my shirt.
Yeah. Now the question is, are we going to go right into the demo next, or is there one other thing you wanted to share?
Well, there's one other component. So we've got the stimulus, the test stimulus, and we've got the power supply, but we need to measure the response. And that's where mioDAQ is going to come in, because we're going to measure the output from our control board, signal board, whatever you want to call it. Instead of a example program, I find it easier to kind of prototype and work in FlexLogger, which is the included software with all of our DAQ hardware. So it's no programming. You're going to see me use it, but it's no programming designed just to get your data and get some graph outputs.
Yeah, I've been a big fan of FlexLogger ever since it was released. It's a phenomenal data logger that comes with, that's free and that works with all the data acquisition instruments. And what I love about it is that I don't need to program with it. It also automatically recognizes all the hardware that's attached to your computer. So you're just immediately going into, it's not programming based, it's configuration based, and very easy to use.
Yeah, absolutely. I just used a few pull downs and I'm already getting data. I see we got a question. So Laura, go ahead and interrupt. What we got?
Yeah.
Got a question or the poll result? No, a question.
Question.
Nice.
A couple people have asked some things about Nigel. We responded to some in the chat.
Yep.
But I think this one is relevant for a lot of people. The question was, can Nigel interpret existing code? For example, if there's code that's been passed down from another user that's no longer around.
Oh my gosh, that almost sounds like someone that works at Emerson has asked that question, because that's a perfect question.
I just realized.
Okay. So yes, I mentioned what it can't do. It's like it can't code yet. It's really good at hardware questions. It will also look at a VI that you either wrote or that you opened up, and it will tell you in general what that VI does.
I look forward to pulling up and putting some of my old spaghetti to it and see what it says.
Yeah, and I expect the results probably scale with the size of the VI.
Sure.
So at some point, it will just be like,
or the novice of the user.
Yeah. No. But I actually encountered that when I was using context help in LabVIEW, and it was like, explain more with Nigel, and I clicked the button, and Nigel popped up, and it was like, give me a deeper dive into the example program. It was pretty slick. So thanks for the question, and yeah, absolutely, that is I'm
gonna look at the clock though and say we gotta show that this response is looking and
still prototyping.
Okay.
Okay, so now I've got. It looks really boring right now because nothing's happening. All we're doing is we're sending a single waveform into the Arduino. So what I'm going to do is while I'm looking at the at the chart here, I'm going to adjust my frequency. I'm going to go from 100 hertz down to 20 and click the run button. Heard the click.
And now we should see the analog output from the Arduino decrease, right?
And that's exactly what we see. So if you look at the scrolling flex logger, we got probably a longer history than we need. I can shorten that up. We don't need a minute. We'll do half a minute. So yeah, that's looking great. That's looking pretty good. Cool. I'm going to cheat ahead a little bit because
Sure.
I know something that we need. And we need to have a 2-point scale so I can scale from voltage to frequency.
Okay.
So I'm going to go back to, let's see here, I'm going to do a 1 hertz. All right, and so now I've got 1 hertz going, and that data is, okay, it's about, well, I want to do it with a square wave because square waves are cleaner. The zero crossing algorithm works much better with the square wave. So I'm going to prototype in square, and then we'll test it with sine. Okay, so I got 0.7 volts, and I'm just going to use LabVIEW as a notepad. 0.7 volts for 1 hertz. And then I'm going to do it again on the high side. And high side is 100 because I wrote the algorithm to optimize for 0 to 100 hertz. So I hear the clicks, go back to flex logger, and I'm at we'll say 2.75. I don't need to be exact, but I want to be kind of close. 2.75 hertz at, 2.7 volts at 100 hertz. All right. All right, so we've now verified everything. The wires are hooked up right because I can control the function generator, send a different signal to the Arduino. The Arduino is properly powered because I see the LED, and I'm also getting a sane response that I'm measuring with mioDAQ.
The clock hasn't been running yet, but I would say this all counts towards the demo.
Really?
Because, well, if I was engineering the solution, this is exactly the type of order that I would be going through as well, too. I need to know the boundaries of my measurement, the boundaries of my stimulus. So this is all perfectly reasonable from, the test bench perspective.
Nice. Okay, well, I've got my block diagram open here. So let's go ahead and start. Let's go ahead and fix this to where we can set a voltage on the power supply. And then we're going to sweep through some of the, I've been kind of just pecking at what the frequency is, but we'll sweep through a few.
Sure. Yeah, that sounds great.
Okay. So I'm going to start. And Laura, if there's any questions while I'm going, please feel free to just jump in and interrupt, and we'll stop and go. Okay, so I'm going to drop my, I'm just going to steal the example program, leverage, as they say in the business, and create a constant, and it's pointed to the right. Ooh, we've already got a question. Yeah, what you got?
Another software related question.
Ooh.
We've talked a lot about LabVIEW, but we have a question from Kurt about FlexLogger. He's asking, is FlexLogger an update interface similar to DAQ-MX?
Good question. FlexLogger is the application software. DAQ-MX is the hardware driver. You need both, so they're not equivalent. So whether you're programming in LabVIEW or Python or C, you're going to have that DAQ-MX driver because that's how the Windows operating system is going to reach through and talk to any of the hardware, any DAQ hardware, whether it's an accelerometer on FieldDAQ underwater or it's like what we've got here on the desk. So DAQ-MX is driver. FlexLogger is application software, DAQ software.
Yeah, but if our friend is thinking about DAQ Express, though, which is a free software that used to be included as well, too, FlexLogger would be a much more modern and much more capable software than DAQ Express was of years ago, I think, right?
If you want to log data to disk and build some simple user interface, kind of like what you saw me do right there as I was prototyping, that is what FlexLogger was designed for. In fact, the R&D team had, just get the dang data. That was their driving force when they were making design decisions is, well, how can we make it easier for engineers?
Good driving principle right there.
Yeah, and you can drop it into Excel. It'll save to a .csv file, or you can save it to a binary file because Excel's not great when you're sampling 1 million samples per second over 30 channels. So yeah, thanks for the question. Absolutely. Okay, so I've dropped my power supply. And now I'm going to, since I'm going to sweep since I'm going to sweep through the frequencies, I actually want to copy the whole guts of this example program because I don't want to open and close my instrument reference every single time I change the frequency. I just want to open it up and then hit frequency, 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 and then I'll close it at the end. So
Sounds perfect.
yeah, so that's why
We just want to loop through different frequencies, right?
exactly. And it's, it sounds like we've got 60 to 70% LabVIEW developers on this webinar. And so the whole open, do something, close is a pretty common scenario. So give myself a little space. If I hold down the control key, I can actually drag myself a little more space right there. So here's, I presume this is the open. Control H for context help. So there's my initialize. I don't need, I'll change that to a constant. Did you start the clock?
I'm sure somebody did.
Ticking. Okay, where are we on? 16 minutes left?
Yep.
Oh, okay. Okay. I was like, I don't know if I can make 4 more minutes, but okay. So the frequency is what I want to change. And then where's my close? There's my close. Okay, I'm just gonna make a little room here. Make a little room because I'm gonna drop in a for loop. And control, I always just say what I'm doing because you never know what tips people don't know.
I love learning the shortcuts.
And control space, I mean, quick drop has been around a while, but it's got to be one of my favorite, like
Question.
quick drop.
Laura has a question.
Zoom. Oh, we got a question.
Yeah. Some people are looking at what you're doing in LabVIEW there.
I'm not
Can
nervous
you-
at all.
Can you make the VI names visible? Because somebody's asking, would you use a visible label on your function so you know where to find them?
Absolutely. And these, oh, let me, okay, so I will do both. I will share the visible label. So just a right click visible label. I think that's also a LabVIEW option. So if you have it set, you can have it, in the tools options, I think there's an option in there, Nigel might be able to help find it, where you can drop the VI and the label will be automatically exposed. The other thing that I'll point out while I'm here is if I right click on the palette, you can go down to instrument IO. I'll go ahead and pin that for a second. And if I click on instrument drivers, you can see the instrument drivers that I have on my system. I think one of these ships, I think that Agilent series, the 3352 actually, or maybe the 34401, one of those comes with LabVIEW because it's just so popular and ubiquitous. The others I have installed, so you can see the Rodian Schwartz power palette right there. And there's it's just a ton of functions that you can go through and control this machine with. And then same thing on the tech function generator, just a palette that you can cruise through just like any other LabVIEW palette. So thanks for asking for me to adjust how I'm going. And yeah, that's where you can find all the material. Okay, so do that. It's getting a little messy. I will clean, let's see here. I'll do a little grouping in a second here and clean it up. So I've got the frequency, but right now it is just a constant, and I want to loop this through. So I'm going to quick drop a array constant. And now I can wire that up. And the nice thing about this is the for loop is going to, the number of executions, the number of loops of this for loop is going to be governed by however many elements I put in that array.
Okay.
So if I put 10 different frequencies in that array, the for loop will cycle through each frequency 10 times and stop.
Perfect.
Right? Yeah. So I'll start simple. So I'll do 20 hertz. And of course, this could be automated. So many things can be automated, but we're going fast here, doing a little education. So 20, 60, and 100. And that's on the wrong side, but I'll clean this all up in a second. Okay, so now kind of thinking as we go. Questions? Feel free to ask questions.
No. It looks great. It looks like you've got a good for loop going. It looks like you have the instrument set up and you're going to sweep through a couple different frequencies. So it looks like we have the function generator and the power supply set up for stimulus.
Yep.
Still need the response.
Exactly.
And an indicator of some kind.
Exactly. So, and
but I'm no critic.
You can jump in and ask questions too. So for the response, I'm going to close out Yeah, close out FlexLogger because to the comment earlier, Testforce.
Yeah, because it's the same drivers used by all the various software layers, the application layers, you can only have you can't have different software pulling the same resources at the same time. Yeah, so if we want to now have that mioDAQ resource, that input available on the software layer, we got to close out FlexLogger so we can use it in LabVIEW. Otherwise, they're going to be fighting for each other, fighting for that resource, and cause all sorts of issues.
Absolutely. But one tip to point out is, like, when you say resource, you're exactly right, but the whole device is more than one resource.
Yep.
So the analog input, the output, the digital, those are 3 different resources.
Yep. The resource is that one channel.
Yep.
But
so,
we're not, we don't have multiple wires connected right now.
So I'm gonna, I use the DAQ Assistant, and I know there's probably some intermediate and more advanced LabVIEW programmers out there that don't. I always start with the DAQ Assistant, and then as another little trick that I like, you can right-click on the DAQ Assistant and convert it into DAQ-MX code. And so you'll go from, I use it for the configuration wizard, for the sensors and all that stuff, and then I convert to the train tracks, so you get the initialize start.
Yeah, that's a great way to start.
Yeah.
So have your breadboard. It's basically like you have a drivers. You have a first setup, a sample program almost for acquiring the signals, and then you can dig in and adjust the code as you want afterwards.
Yep, exactly. So I'm gonna see here. I'm gonna sample I'm gonna do a finite acquisition, which means I'm gonna tell mioDAQ to just sample 1,000 points.
Okay.
So I'm gonna, my process is send the waveform. I'm gonna wait probably half a second or so to let the box click and convert. And then I'm gonna tell mioDAQ to acquire 1,000 points. And so that's why I've got this samples to read is 1,000, and I'm gonna sample, those 1,000 points will come at 50,000 samples per second. And if I click run here, there we go. I got 1,000 points, 1 volt, that seems about good. Oh, hold on, RSE. So I had to change the mode. Reference single-ended because I'm measuring everything with reference to ground.
Okay.
And I have mioDAQ and the boxes, they're all tied to the same ground. So that's why I had to do that. All right.
When I'm digging into an application and thinking about reference single-ended versus differential signaling, that's when I'm calling tech support.
Sometimes I do too. And so now DAQ Assistant's going to build the code in the background. Laura, any questions come up?
We have 10 minutes.
Oh, 10 minutes. I thought we said we had 10 questions.
No, we're answering some questions in the chat, but they're pretty specific.
I'm feeling pretty good about 10 minutes. We'll get some lines on a graph and some frequency sweeps in 10
I'm not
minutes.
nervous.
You know what? If I don't make it, we will give everybody their money back. The webinar will be free. All right. So now, see, I've got my response. I'm going to drop a mean. So now I can take the average of those 1,000 points, and that just makes it more accurate.
Sure.
So, mioDAQ is pretty accurate to begin with, but oversampling and averaging is always good.
Also, I believe it's plus or minus 10 volt input right now. It's a setup. Is that right?
Yeah, actually, that's a good point.
Yeah, so it's plus or minus 10 volt input at the moment. I think there's a variable. Is there a variable gain on some of the channels?
Yeah, mioDAQ does have variable gain. So I'm going to go through. I'm going to drop it down to plus or minus 5. Thanks, Aaron. It's a nice.
I remember deep back, way back when, 15 minutes ago, you said it was a plus or minus, going only up to 3.3 volts. So we don't need the whole 10 volt
We don't
range.
need the whole 10 volt range. So I just dropped it down, cut it in half, and now DAQ-MX is building behind the scenes. And this is where, oh gosh, I got to do scaling. Okay. So this is where I'm going to make a little room, and I'm going to numeric constant. So I'm going to do like a simple y equals mx plus b. So we've got, I'm going to fix it to where I could adjust this if I want. So I'm going to do, I need hertz per volt. So when I multiply by volts, I get hertz. So I'm going to do 100 hertz, and I'm going to subtract 1 hertz, which I know the answer, but now I can adjust it in the code. And then I'm going to do 2.75 volts. Whoops. And
This is the LabVIEW calculator.
Yeah, that's all. Sometimes that's what you need. So I'm going to subtract, And this will give me hertz per volt. And then when I multiply that by the output from that mean VI,
Mm-hmm.
uh,
You'll get a scaled measure of the frequency
exactly.
according to what we took on FlexLogger.
Yes, and there's probably an offset in there that I'm seeing 0.7 volts at 1 hertz. I'm probably gonna.
That's okay. It was 20 minutes for a working demo, not a perfect one.
Yeah, that's true. But I'm probably still gonna.
I think you got one in the oven already, anyways, don't you, Brett?
I do, of course. I did a little homework last night. So, okay, so now I can just multiply and take the mean from that. So this is y equals mx plus b. I'm gonna go ahead and do it. I'm gonna do the 0.
I'm wondering now if in that scene from The Social Network, when they're like pounding tequila, racing to code as fast as they possible, like were they working on LabVIEW?
Probably not.
No, I don't think so.
Okay, and I'm gonna create an indicator here, and this should be hertz out. And for a little cleanup, I'm gonna highlight everything, gonna lasso that bit of code, and I'm gonna create a sub VI because that'll clean that up and give me a little space on my code. And now I've got this little function that will convert. Yeah, so I could do,
There's your scaling for you.
Yep.
Your 2-point scaling.
Arduino DAQ in and hertz out. And there's my scale. Oh. And I'm gonna scale 2, sure. Okay, so we close that. So power, frequency, sweeping the frequency. Oh, I need to put a little delay in there. So what am I gonna do here? I'm gonna do a frame, a sequence.
What's the VI you're selecting here?
Flat sequence structure.
Okay.
Flat frame, just because. And again, this is not, I'll show you some nicer code in a second. I'm going to, because I want to, come on. There we go. It happens. Clean up the wire. Oh gosh. Do millisecond wait. What I want is and there's probably ways to optimize this,
with you.
But
I just want to give it a second to
exactly. So I'm
do his clicks.
I'm going to give it 500 milliseconds because I know there's trigger lines and there's I don't want to necessarily undersell it, but I also don't want to let the smoke out of anything. So I'm going to drop that weight. Okay, so waveform, and because of data flow, that waveform, once it is enabled or engaged the function generator, it's going to wait for half a second, and I'll just add a frame after. And now I can drop my code in there, and I'm going to show this as an icon so it gets smaller. And I'm going to clean this up so that gets smaller. There we go. Okay, and now I think we could just, are we ready for a chart? Let's try a simple chart. Let's just do that. So fuse chart, and fuse is the design language. That's what that is. The default is still that's called modern.
Okay.
But the one that I like and we design most in is called fuse. So if you type in fuse when you do your quick drop, you'll get the nicer looking widgets. Okay, so I don't know this.
Oh my God, how much time we got left?
Yeah, how much time left, Laura?
3 minutes.
Oh, it seems like we got to try it.
I don't know. I can stretch my legs. There's more I could do. You could go for bonus points, but let's. I'm going to double check my work. So starting from left to right as data flow goes, I'm going to enter the resource, and that is the power resource. I'm setting the voltage to 7 and the current to 2. So that should kick that on. And then I wonder if I might need a time delay on that. I think we'll be okay. Oh yeah, I think we'll be okay because there's a time delay.
Before you do the measurement.
Yeah,
so it'll be fine.
That should be okay. The DC offset, that's set right. So the amplitude and the DC offset I've already dialed those in for what the Arduino input range is. We've got square wave. I don't know. We might be good. Let me try this. Let's try it. The wait timer, enable. Yeah, okay. If not, we can. We've got a couple minutes to debug. Oop, I'm hearing beeps. Oh, I'm hearing a click. And let's see. We should get 3 data points. Nothing too fancy.
I heard 3 clicks.
I'm hearing
4
clicks,
clicks.
and I'm seeing data points. Now I'm going to auto scale.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, okay. And so the 3 data points that we put in were 20, 60, and 100. And so the output, now this could also be with my calibration, but we got, 60, 45, and 140. So it's not super accurate, but the bare bones structure is
Sure.
there. So I don't know if
Didn't like that 60 hertz measurement, it sounds like.
didn't like that.
That's
60
okay.
measurement.
That's what we're here for. I mean, that's the job of a test engineer, is to look at those results and then start asking questions. Is it my code? Is it a calibration issue?
Yep.
There's plenty of points of concern here that we could investigate further.
For my vote, I would say that I'm now close enough that we can pull the finished one out of the oven.
All right. Well, I'm impressed. 20 minutes. 20 minutes was what it took. And right before then, you gave us a good preview of Nigel and how Nigel, gave you a playbook for getting all the instruments set up and connected, the drivers installed, the GUIs up and running.
Yep.
So I think actually I'm impressed. I think you got a lot done in a very short period of time right there, especially if you didn't touch a single front panel here. You're just doing it all from your laptop.
Which is nice when you're like whipping around all the different settings
Mm-hmm.
and even just like the prototyping environment as I was building the system, being able to like interact with everything in one screen was nice.
Yeah.
So what I've got on the VI that I've loaded now, I spent a little more time on. I spent, I don't know, maybe 30 minutes kind of cleaning it up. I've also added an extra loop that lets me cycle through the power. So
Okay.
on the left here, I've got an array labeled voltage set points, and I've entered 3, 10 volts, 8.5 volts, and 5 volts. And then on the top, those are my frequency set points. Oh, there's only 4. I'm gonna do more than that. So let's say 50, and then we'll do 60. And also this is still I still feel like I'm brute forcing this, a little more time, and you can automate a whole bunch of things. You can, have automated profiles load up. You can have a little bit more operator interaction. Just make it
Yeah, or
really
maybe
nice.
we could have built an array that was 0 to, or 1 to 100 that was of 1,000 points in between it or something like that.
Exactly. But I think this should get the point across. Let me see. I'm gonna run this, hearing the clicking, hearing the beeping, and any second now we're gonna start seeing data. With a little more time and not live on air, I think I did a better job calibrating the DAQ on this one, the 2-point scale.
Yep.
Spent a little more time on that. And something that I've noticed, as you can see, we're sweeping through the frequencies here. The algorithm that's running on this Arduino at the higher frequencies, so when it gets up closer to 100, it's less accurate, which makes sense because I remember the conversation with ChatGPT about when we were doing the debounce filter, we had to zero in on like a frequency range and we put it right around like 20 to 30 hertz. So that tracks. The other thing that's interesting is it seems to get less accurate as the voltage provided drops. So chart 1 is the 10 volt, chart 2 is the 8.5 volt, and chart 3 is the 5 volt, and the error increases as the voltage drops. Now, I don't know why, right? So in our engineering scenario, we're the test team, and we're trying to automate through all of the constraints that R&D has designed this thing for. And so we're reporting data and what we're seeing, and then it's up to market requirements and design requirements to see, are we checking the boxes or do we need to go dig a little bit more?
No, that's great. No, Brett, I'm super impressed. I think you did a great job. Thank you very much for showing that off, and congratulations. I don't have to get the axe off the shelf, for not making it for that time.
Safe from the big foamy axe.
Oh, it's foam? No one told me that. The question box is lit up.
Oh, yeah.
So Laura, what do you got?
Yeah. Good job. You guys had 1 minute left on the timer, so
Oh,
I didn't want to interrupt, but a couple good questions in the chat. Just as you were kind of finishing up the demo, Jeffrey was asking why initialize every iteration for a loop?
I shouldn't have. Thank you for the question, Jeffrey, and for calling that out. I should not have. In this one, in the one that I spent a little extra time on last night, I did not initialize every loop. I initialized outside. So that was a really savvy catch. On the one, the quick one,
Just time
I
constraints.
did initialize everyone, so I could fix that. I could pull that out, and then this should still work, and we'd still get like the same probably calibration problem that I would want to debug. That would be next on my hit list to debug. But yeah, good call. Save resources and all that communication. Thank you.
Two more.
Two more
Two more.
questions.
Yeah,
okay.
two more.
Bring them.
Um,
Got a YouTube
the-
video. A live webinar.
Next one, I think the answer is no, but there might be some other resources. We have somebody asking if there's an exercise guide for what we're presenting today. I don't think so, but there might be some other LabVIEW resources that exist.
I don't know about it specifically an exercise guide. That would be new for me, but I know for sure like LabVIEW ships with like heaps of example codes that are out there. I think, you know, I said, correct me if I'm wrong on a guide, but I know there's lots of example codes out there. There's huge libraries. So, for example, the drivers that come with these instruments from Tech and Rode, and and these are third party to Emerson. These come with sample codes as well as the drivers. And then I can't imagine the depth of the sample code library from Emerson. It's in LabVIEW. It's huge.
Yes, asking AI, whether it's Nigel or otherwise, can help. There's a large community of LabVIEW developers, so the forums on NI.com, but also we do have one fairly meaty guide called the Fundamentals of Building a Test System. So maybe we can grab a link for that in the follow-up email, or you can just Google it, Fundamentals of Building a Test System. And that has several chapters that kind of walks through hardware. There's a section on software, mechanicals, racking, fixturing, all that stuff. So that's a good resource in addition to all the ones that you mentioned.
Yeah, I'll add one more thing though, is that if you're on the more novice side or you're interested in learning more about LabVIEW or any of Emerson software suites, if you have an active subscription, you have access to on-demand training for LabVIEW Core 1 and Core 2 at all times. So you can go take those courses at any time you'd like. If you want a little bit more time or a little bit more attention, I guess, with an instructor, you can take those courses in person or live remotely as well too. So there's a huge body of resources available for anybody that wants to improve their LabVIEW or their programming skills. And I personally advocate it for, because it's when I see my customers using LabVIEW well, like they're crushing it, they're killing it. Not only is it making their work faster, but also I see a lot of people building second and third careers with it too.
Yep, absolutely. I wanted to. Did you have something
One
else?
more question?
One more question.
No?
More question.
On a similar note.
Oh yeah, let's do that.
Yeah.
Questions first.
Where can I find a list of instruments, devices, drivers needed to be purchased besides having LabVIEW Plus to try out what you're demonstrating today?
So you could probably try, if you have any instruments, go to NI has an IDNet. So Googling it, like IDNet instrument drivers will be the fastest way to get there. And then you can search for your particular instrument and download that driver. You can also a lot of times go to the vendor's website. So like the Rode box, I went to RodeandSchwartz.com or whatever, and I downloaded the driver from there, and it was just copy paste into a folder. So those and what I used here was LabVIEW, FlexLogger, which are both free evals if you want to do that. The DAQ MX driver, and you need NI Visa, but NI Visa is like included with almost all of our drivers, so you can just like check a box and that'll install. And then the Tech function generator instrument driver and the power supply instrument driver, and that was my software stack. Great. All right, and so speaking of software, I felt bad showing like the quick and dirty LabVIEW, so I wanted to bring up some code from a different demo that's a nicer architecture. I'm not going to dig through this too much, but I did want to show what I think of as a more extensible architecture. So if you look at the screen, what you see, all of these VIs that are down here. Yes, LabVIEW zooms now. Another one of my favorite features, especially as I've gotten older and screen resolutions have gotten larger and greater. Each one of these sub VIs is like a little engine that does a job. So like there's one down there that's processing analog input. There's one that's coordinating a test profile. There's one that's just running a timer. And the kind of purpley lines that are going into them are cues. There's a controller, this process control sub VI right here, sends tasks to all of those sub VIs. So imagine there was a sub VI for the function generator, a sub VI for the power supply, and a sub VI for mioDAQ. The controller would say, all right, power supply, set your power to whatever volts. And then RK function generator, it's your turn. I want you to send, and that's just a more scalable, extensible way to build a LabVIEW program. Because now if I wanted to add more instruments, I could just add more sub VIs and put those commands in the controller, and it's just much nicer. So I didn't want people to walk away thinking that certainly that all LabVIEW code is a mess, because there's a lot of LabVIEW experts that make some really beautiful code, and I did not do it justice in that really quick.
No, you did great. You did great. I think also, you know, for anybody out there, if you're interested in learning more tips and tricks, you want to hear more about how people like Brett and other professional LabVIEW developers are using the software today. You can look up your local LabVIEW users group, and you know they meet almost quarterly all around the U.S. and Canada, and those are great ways to interact with other LabVIEW professionals and see how they're tackling different problems out there.
Great. I see we got a question. Let's do one more question, and then I do want to hop over and give a bridge to PXI, like when instruments versus PXI. So Laura, what you got?
Yeah, I think this is a good one for Aaron to answer.
I'll try.
Martin is asking, how do I convince a researcher to go with LabVIEW and NI-DAQ? They want me to do everything on Arduino because it's super cheap, but highly time consuming and not as rugged.
That's a tough one. I see a lot of customers battling that often. I don't think there's I don't know if there's an easy example there, because there's a constant battle between breadth of resources. But you know, typically the way I'm speaking with my customers, or I'm advising them to have the conversation with their superiors, is to think about it purely in resource management and in time. You know, you could literally, you know your value to the company, you know, from your paycheck more than anything, and you know the time of your colleagues as well. And you can literally put a dollar value on the time that you would be spending to use an Arduino solution versus using a LabVIEW solution or another solution as well. So I typically approach it very like I usually look at the P&L line, you know, of how much your time is worth, how much my time is, and try to show or really storyboard for my customers or with my customers, you know, how they get from where they are today to their goal. Again, like just as efficiently as possible. I don't want to volunteer your time on the weekends, but you know, if you have a few minutes and you can download like the community edition to LabVIEW or a trial version just to get an idea, and maybe use just the simulated version of the hardware, which is available too.
Yep.
You might be able to build a simple VI that will show just how fast you can do this with LabVIEW as well too. So those are a few ideas, but I hate to say it, there's no, I don't know if there's a silver bullet for the human experience of this still.
There's not, and like right tool for the right job. Like in
Yeah.
some cases, it is the right tool, but I've also seen that you can spend a lot of time with devices like that aren't calibrated or weren't designed to make quality measurements. You spend a lot of time in software trying to like do different things to massage the data or filter or post-processing, and you spend all this time, and time is money. So
yeah, actually that's a really good point about calibrated instruments as well too.
Yeah.
When you're using Arduino or a lot of just commercial electronic devices, there's no calibration to it. So there's no traceability to the values. You plug it in one day, it might, you know, get one result, it might look different the next. So when you go with test and measurement, you know, you have a spec sheet, there's somebody responsible for those values that's not you. Which is good.
Especially when it comes to like peer-reviewed research and publishing data. So
we got 1 minute left.
1 minute left. Okay, I know we've talked about this. The question comes up, well, PXI versus boxed instruments. And really, it's two different jobs. I use the analogy, it's like they're both hammers, but they're designed, like one's a framing hammer and one's like a classic claw hammer. And here's where the PXI value is. If you are doing more tests, if you are using more instruments, and you are moving more data, and you need more synchronizing and coordination between those instruments, it's not a yes/no, it's a scale. As those answers scale up, that's when PXI really shows the value. So on the demo that we built here, or that I showed from like the pre-cooked homework last night, you know, we did like 100 data points. But imagine cranking through like thousands of data points. And imagine if we had like a scope and other ARBs and, you know, SMUs, right? So now we're just stacking up boxes, a whole bunch of cables back here, and it's USB, so it takes time to talk between them. So
yeah, no, Brett, thank you. I think that's a really great point. I think once again, it's a gray area, and you know, the question really comes, you know, on which extreme you're in, and yeah, it's never a black and white answer, but you know, that's when a great opportunity to speak with your colleagues, with your supervisors, or someone from Emerson or Testforce about, you know, what the best way forward is.
Yep. All right, so I think we're about at time, unless there's like a last question we want to jump on. Nope.
No.
Nope. We're all good. All right.
Okay.
Well, then I think we'll close it out. I want to thank everyone for logging on and spending your time with us this morning. I know an hour of your time it's not free, even though you didn't have to swipe a card to attend this webinar. I also want to thank Aaron and Laura for coming in and joining me in studio and supplying all the stuff.
Thanks everybody for coming. Thanks Brett and Emerson for having us, and look forward to seeing you all soon.
Yeah. Take care, y'all.